Hi, everybody. It is Saturday, December 21st, 4 days before Christmas. And this week proved that Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and Elon Musk are very serious people. The Republicans in Congress, presently, are not. They are trapped in a false ideology which says that cutting spending and the debt is the key to the nation's survival. Trump, on the other hand, is focused on growing the economy at the type of phenomenal rates of physical expansion which will result in generalized prosperity while cutting anything contrary, i.e., destructive, from the federal budget. That would be the endless wars, the Green New Deal, much of the inflationary Biden sponsored Inflation Reduction Act, the various woke programs, the substitution of low wages and foreign workers for a skilled and educated native labor force here, the cartelization into huge trusts, financial trusts, of everything from real estate to agriculture, the financialization of everything by Wall Street and the City of London, which has killed such things as science and innovation in medicine, with our healthcare system becoming a giant leviathan producing very efficient chronic disease, drug dependency, and death. Turning the physical economy to a growth machine will rationalize the debt one way or the other. So this week saw an entirely typical corrupt Christmas holiday play in Washington, with the added dynamic that the old bull establishment minions in Congress were testing their power to thwart what Americans voted for on November 5th. A bill numbering 1,587 pages was hoisted on the House with 24 hours notice before a vote, and that was supposed to prevent a government shutdown. It included entirely poisonous provisions to continue the funding of the censorship industrial complex's Global Engagement Center at the State Department, allow Congress to escape the rationing of medicine under Obamacare and getting them into the gold-plated federal workers' health care plan, giving Congress a raise, and insulating congressional emails from the type of legal process that should come in a genuine investigation of the events of January 6, 2021. It was claimed that this had to be passed immediately because funding for the government was due to run out on Friday night, and a government shutdown would surely cause political hell for whoever had to take the blame. It was written, reliably reported by Senator Mike Lee, by a group of congressmen and senators privately ridiculed by their colleagues as the firm, to wit, Senator Mitch McConnell, Senator Chuck Schumer, House Representative Hakeem Jeffries, and Speaker Mike Johnson. They worked on it for a long, long time before this week and planned to pop it on the rest of the Congress and the population in just this way. You see, that's the way that Washington business is done at this time of year, knowing that people overwhelmingly want to go home and are tempted to violate their obligation and oaths of office. J.D. Vance summed up the battle lines in one sentence, quote, "They are willing to shut down the government in order to keep their censorship regime going." Then something which has not happened in a very long time, if ever before, happened. Elon Musk tweeted about the corrupt deal. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance issued a statement on X opposing it. The population mobilized, and the monstrosity was dead within hours. At the same time, thousands of Americans, informed that a government shutdown in order to deliberate would not destroy us all and would have really little practical impact, embraced the idea of shutting down the government, Washington's pearl-clutching fits notwithstanding. A big aspect of this is that the population has gotten a taste through Donald Trump about what it means to have a real role in their government, about what it really means to be a citizen in a republic. They have lost, at the same time, any last remaining respect for a Congress still dancing the old, corrupt Potomac two-step of cover-ups and lies. The people said enthusiastically, shut the whole damn thing down. Like Jack Ryan in Clear and Present Danger, they said, we don't dance anymore. Johnson's speakership now hangs by a thread with serious calls from the nation saying that Elon Musk or Vivek Ramaswamy should be speaker. Musk, more seriously, is offering to fund both moderate Democrats and MAGA Republicans in primaries in 2026 to create an actual deliberative body in the Congress and, through this threat, to actually keep the present ones in line. That is the key here. There has to be a cross-party movement to save the country, just like MAGA was a cross-party movement of new Republicans under Trump, new Democrats, young people, independents, etc., overturning completely the present rigged political calculus. Donald Trump intervened directly, calling for a simple continuing resolution to keep the government running under the present regime until he can take office, plus a suspension or complete repeal of the debt ceiling, which, if you know the actual history, is a tool by which the DC mandarins perennially create fake crises, which end up being full of sound and fury, but ultimately greenlight corrupt business as usual. The debt ceiling was first created in 1917 under the traitorous Wilson administration, that dark British imperial-driven administration which ceded our government to so-called experts, our treasury to Wall Street and the City of London, created both the income tax and the Federal Reserve, and revived the Ku Klux Klan. Before that, Congress would sponsor and debate individual bills if it meant incurring debt through the issuance of government bonds, with implicit responsibility for arguing how it would be paid for. Under Obama, Republicans figured out that they could use the threat of a government shutdown to extract cuts in spending, and they have not abandoned that fixation ever since. Despite the fact that it has never really curtailed significant spending or, most importantly, has served to create the type of productive and growing economy Donald Trump wants to build. Cutting does not do that. Libertarian economics is impotent when faced with Trump's mission. The present debt ceiling expires in June of 2025, right in the middle of Trump's first-term offensive. Since the margins in the House for Republicans are very, very thin, this crazy and useless device creates a huge opportunity for disruption by Jacobin Democrats of Trump's agenda. One of my favorite historians, Bob Ingram, is giving a class tonight on this ugly history and the fact that most House Republicans are still wedded to this impotent mindset. You can watch it on Promethean Pact tonight, and the link is included in the transcript and in the description of this brief. Ultimately, the ideological blindness of the libertarians and deficit hawks of the Republican caucus killed Trump's proposal. A trimmed-down resolution was passed at the 11th hour and now will be signed by the senile Joe Biden over the weekend. As an interesting side note, the Wall Street Journal this week revealed what everyone has known, that this guy has been absent and senile during the entirety of his term, which was run by his designated crew instead of the President of the United States. Again, debt is not the problem. The composition of spending is. Is the money being spent for a productive purpose, which will increase the productive output and potential of the population, like figuring out the technologies required to colonize the moon and Mars, which will allow us to make every region of the earth a garden, or does it simply feed the financial appetites of the oligarchy? That is the issue. Now, Trump singled out Congressman Chip Roy in particular for his opportunism and invited people to primary him in Texas. Roy is the ambitious anti-government libertarian who would like to overturn our Constitution through an Article 5 Convention of the States. Like almost every corrupt politician advancing this proposition, He believes that our problems are structural in the Constitution itself, rather than in the personal corruption of the people we elect to govern under a Constitution which requires serious statesmen to work. Roy fought hard to elect Ron DeSantis president accordingly, rather than Donald Trump. Across the world, both Trump and Vladimir Putin are signaling that they want the slaughter in Ukraine to end. But the British and Biden administration keep escalating that conflict in order to block Trump from solving it, while continuing to dangerously cross Putin's declared red lines. The British are even declaring that they will send actual troops to Ukraine, and like always, they are seeking to stage incidents which will result for the same type of commitment by the United States. Ukraine, working with the CIA and MI6, assassinated General Igor Kirillov in Moscow. He was the man who exposed, along with Victoria Nuland, that the U.S. was building bioweapons in its Ukrainian colony right on Russia's border. There are rumors that the rocket scientist Mikhail Shatsky was assassinated in the same British, American, Ukrainian assassination spree. Ukrainian drone attacks took place overnight deep inside Russia, inviting a devastating Russian response. The carving up of Syria into Turkish and Israeli-controlled enclaves, along with a larger number of troops, the Pentagon told us that they had lied to us about how many American forces are actually there, continues apace, along with pressure to instigate a war with Iran. In Russia, Vladimir Putin conducted his annual year-end dialogue with the Russian people. Over 4 million people asked questions of him from throughout the country, and he fielded them in a 4-hour session, without notes, without teleprompters. This is massively misreported in our mainstream media, and Tony Papert will have a post up on the Promethean Action website soon about what actually happened. Putin was most focused on Russia's demographic crisis, the fact that family formation and births of children are lagging, just as they are here. The Malthusian drive begun by the oligarchs and King Charles long ago has borne its fruit in the form of a demographic crisis and collapse across most populations. Basically, the adult population is not being replaced by children, and we are losing the ability to have a workforce at workforce age across the world to actually produce in the economy. We are losing the working age labor force. Otherwise, he sounded the theme of nation-state sovereignty rather than the typical false portrayal of him here as an imperialist with expansive dreams. The lies about him are much like the lies about Donald Trump in that respect. We'll cover in a post on the website the nomination fight around Tulsi Gabbard over the weekend. As Tucker Carlson has pointed out, that is likely to be the most explosive in the Trump and America resistant U.S. Senate. That is because as DNI, Tulsi can and will declassify all that these previous Bush, Obama, and Biden governments have done in your name during our lifetimes. All the crimes. We learned this week, most importantly, that the American population mobilized can change Washington. That same alertness, mobilization, and fight will be necessary over the entire Trump second term. We're bringing about a revolution, a huge transformational change. This is what it looks like. You have to exert your power. You have to be informed. You have to educate yourself. I'll see you again on Monday, and we'll discuss the Christmas holiday and its significance in American history. Tune in tonight and listen to Bob Ingram. It'll give you a completely different perspective on what has just happened. I'll see you again on Monday.
Thanks for watching. Please take a moment and subscribe to our free newsletter at prometheanaction.com.